Welcome for guests and visitors. My name is Teresa Russell and I am the president for the last time this year of the Dublin Worthington Rotary Club. And if I have my dates right, I think this is our 45th meeting. Does that sound right? Did you do 44 last week? 45th meeting of the 49th year of our club. And Win Wixel, you have our prayer for us, an invocation and pledge.
Bow for our Father, we gather today, mindful that it's been a wonderful spring and summer is opening up time. We're thankful for the gifts that are given to us through our association with the United States. We thank thee for the gifts we're given as a family, with friendships. Help us to be mindful to pass this flow along. Help us as we wrestle with the politics of this year. Thank you for the food. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have announcements? You can make your way up. And I would say anybody that volunteered this weekend for the Arts Festival, I was there on Sunday morning and I'm so grateful I was there on Sunday morning and not later. It was a hot one. Yeah.
For all those who are interested, if there are any, there are, we're having a 50th planning, not party, meeting Friday morning, 9:30 over at Northwest Library. If you want to attend, feel free.
Thank you. Anybody else with announcements? Do we have any visitors and guests that aren't part of the speaker? Would they like to be introduced by you?
Yes, if I can remember. So,
Or they can introduce themselves?
actually, why don't we do that?
Welcome, everybody.
That's much easier for me.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. I'm one of Catherine's interns. I go to OSU and I'm in finance. I'm Fabio. I'm also one of Catherine's interns and I'm in OSU as well. I'm majoring in animal science and this is going to be my second year this fall.
Thank you. Thanks, welcome. Darnell, speak loudly.
And I was back getting coffee, so I forgot to make a very important announcement. The selection committee has elected the Rotarian and the Rookie of the Year. The Rotarian of the Year is Emily Biondo. Not here. Give her a round of applause anyway. And the Rookie of the Year is Lisa Federico.
Any other announcements, anything? No meeting next week. And I left the calendars, printed calendars in the car. I'll hand them out next week when we're together at the banquet. We have a sergeant. And it is Ken Perry today.
I am a last minute sub for Alan Grossman. Get your money out. Do I have a volunteer to carry the pot?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Darnell? Nope. Darnell's got it. Put his hand up first. He's quicker than you.
He's younger.
By a day or two.
All right. So Alan Grossman texted me last night. Would I be sergeant? Because he has to go to Piqua to take his CDL test. What does he need a CDL for? I assume he's talking about a commercial driver's license.
Yes. Driver's license.
If you've never taken a CDL test in honor of Alan, throw in $1. $50, let's do that. I will start because Last Friday, I had my low golf score of the year.
85.
Doesn't anybody want to know what the hell I shot?
No. 94. 73.
Was it less than 3 digits?
74, you're close.
Oh.
And another dollar because last Saturday night, I saw the Rolling Stones in Cleveland. And
Still trying to recapture your youth, eh?
well, they're trying to recapture their youth because I can't believe the energy Mick Jagger has at age 80. And I can't believe Keith Richards is still alive. And quite honestly, the fact that he still can play the guitar the way he does and stand up there on stage, I should have abused my body a whole lot more when I was younger with drugs and alcohol, because he's doing okay. Here's my 2, Darnell. All right. Anybody else? Happy dollars.
I am happy to be here to put in $8.60 as a dime a year for my birthday this Sunday, and I'll round it up to 10.
Happy birthday. Good work. Dick?
I have a couple of happy dollars, during the past couple of weeks. Our oldest granddaughter got accepted to med school at, Eastern Carolina Med School in Grenville, not Greenville, but Grenville, North Carolina.
Oh, great.
Can I assume that's Dave's daughter? That's Dave's daughter?
Yes,
Good for her.
and the youngest
Congratulations.
one graduated from Appalachia State with a degree in education. Will be gainfully employed in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay.
Fantastic. Congratulations. Anybody else? Darnell, here's my 2.
I'm really happy because our grandson Charlie and his wife Katie gave birth to a daughter named Lucia, 3 days ago.
Congratulations. Anybody else have a happy buck? Yes, you're immune to this, by the way. In case you didn't realize that. Any other happy dollars? All right. Today is a very important federal holiday. I assume you all know what that day is. Does anybody know what year that became a federal holiday? Anybody?
2021?
Good guess. Trying to raise money up here. All right. 2021 became a federal holiday. Anybody in the room proclaim to be a baseball fan? We got any baseball fans in the room? We'll go back there. This is on behalf of everybody. Sadly, we lost Willie Mays yesterday. Many think he was the greatest player ever, and he was known for being the best 5-tool player ever. What 5 tools am I talking about? Charlie, give us a shot.
Running, hitting, catching, throwing, coaching.
You got 4. I'll give you 4. Anybody else want to take a guess at it? A 5-tool, that's one of them. Well, running in general, but that's what it's all about. A 5-tool baseball player is about speed on the base paths, throwing, fielding, hitting for power, hitting for average. Those are the 5 tools. Everybody has to throw in a buck because nobody got the 5 tools. Thank you. Have a great week.
Got 80 cents worth.
Please, are you listening? Yes, okay.
All right, there is, an extra dollar and some tickets up here. So if you don't claim them, they're going to me next. But first we'll have Lisa introduce the speaker.
Great, and I'm gonna do this actually in front of the mic instead of behind the
idea.
podium. Yeah, so you can all hear me. I'm so excited to introduce you today to Catherine Harrison of Harrison Farms. I met Catherine back before I started the magazine. I actually met her on Instagram. And I was so intrigued by the work that she does. So she'll tell you the story, but she bought her family's farm 9 years ago.
2016.
Okay, 2016, so I'm somewhat close. But the work that goes into pulling a farm that generates revenue and that does all the things that you're on a mission to do, I was kind of taken aback. Truth be told, I'm from Cleveland. I'm a city girl. I can barely spell farm, as I told some people earlier today. And all of the things that Catherine has going and what she does, it's truly fascinating. And some of the hardships that she's gone through as well as a farmer is also fascinating to me. And I'm just thrilled to have her share with you some of the things that she's doing. She raises sheep, goats, and chickens. She's on a mission to restore her family's farm. And most of all, she does this because she also wants to enrich her community, which I think is a great, focus for all of us here today as well. But she provides agritourism opportunities for visitors. She helps to mentor women in urban areas that want to get into farming. She is the founder of the Fearless Female Farmer nonprofit, which focuses on inspiring beginning farmers. She hosts the Fearless Female Farmer podcast and is the author of the Fearless Female Farmer Substack. She serves on the board of the Ohio Farm Bureau Federation, and she's a graduate of the Ohio Farm Bureau's Agri-Power Leadership Development Program. And with that, I'm going to introduce you to Catherine Harrison.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am told that I can be quite loud. Am I suitable without a microphone today?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Those at home.
They can hear. They're good.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Lisa so much for this opportunity. I am absolutely delighted to join you all today and truly grateful for the experience. It has been a joy to get to know Lisa. As much as we might belabor the role of social media in our world, it is a formidable tool to be able to connect with people. And so I'm very grateful that through Instagram, we were able to build that connection. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today and also to invite two of my team members to join me. Thank you sincerely. So as Lisa shared, my name is Catherine Harrison, and I come from a place called Harrison Farm, just south of here. I raise primarily sheep, goats, and chickens. We also have ducks, rabbits. There are 4-H animals on site from the young people in the 4-H club that I advise. So currently we have pigs and turkeys on site as well. I have a horse and a donkey that I love dearly. I have 2 working dogs, as well as my best friend, Bonnie Blue Pooch, who lives in the house with me, and 30 rescue cats, because I am a terrible softie, and every time someone tells me about a cat that desperately needs a home, I have a big barn, I have a lot of love to give, so I tell them to get it fixed, and we end up with another cat. These are some pictures from the farm, and I especially love a couple of them. That picture of the little goat is Ella Fitzgerald. Ella Fitzgerald, the goat, is one of our goat yoga superstars. She loves people, she loves getting in trouble, and she loves eating a lot of food. She has now grown much since that photo, but goat yoga is a big part of what we do. We also host a lot of events on the farm, and the picture up top there is from a wedding shoot that was done. You can see the bride and groom there holding Maud the chicken. My grandfather is pictured there on the far side. He was absolutely my hero. I was very fortunate to grow up at that farm with my grandparents. They mentored me, they nurtured me. I had the privilege of seeing them work day after day on that farm, the heart that it took to run an operation like that. I'm very blessed that I have a passion for working with young people, and the young people who come to my farm are absolutely amazing. One of the things they quickly learned when you are part of the Harrison Farm team, you wave to every car that passes by. My grandfather waved to everyone, and I love this photo of him as a young man If you look in the background, you can see the barn there in the distance, the same barn that still stands on the farm. And there he is waving in that photo. Just as these days, my interns will tell you, every car that passes by, we wave because we're building community. It's not just someone passing by the farm. It's someone who is a part of our community and we want to welcome them. And that is a tradition I carry on from him and that I pass on to the young people who are part of my world now. You can see the barn there on the other side, same barn. That is me with my young helper Elsa, who interned at the farm 2 summers ago and now oversees our rabbit operation. I love that farm dearly. I'm the 5th generation of my family to work that particular farm. My great-great-grandfather and my great-great-grandparents settled there in 1927. I had the privilege of growing up knowing my mother had lived in that farmhouse, my grandfather had lived in that farmhouse, and I was the 5th generation to work that piece of land. After both of my grandparents passed away, the farm was put up for auction. My aunts were not connected to the farm, well-meaning individuals, went to college, got married, were not connected to it. For them, it was a valuable real estate asset that was far away from where they lived that they could market for income. For me, it was the place where I saw my grandparents invest their heart's work. I could not just walk away from it and have any respect for myself. So as Lisa had referenced, in the fall of 2016, when the farm was put up for auction, I had the very unique experience of walking into an auction, knowing my life was going to change one way or the other. And thanks be to God, I was able to purchase the original home place. The farm was sold in 3 tracts. Being a single woman, I knew my financial realities. I could not purchase the whole thing, but I was able to purchase the home place where my family had settled back in 1927. It was the worst financial decision I ever made. I had no idea I was putting every financial resource I had into a piece of land, trying to build an agritourism operation to welcome people to a farm right before a pandemic shut everything down. And so I share that not to belabor the difficulties of being a middle-aged spinster farmer, but rather because I know keenly how blessed I am that people support my farm and allow it to continue. I have always loved goats. Goats are my creatures. That is a picture of a young goat herd with one of the first goats I remember on the farm. My grandfather raised a lot of sheep. That was his passion. As far back as we can trace, we Harrisons have raised sheep. I am the 13th generation of my family to farm in America, and I'm very proud of that legacy. And as long as we can tell, sheep have been a part of whatever the piece of land was that was Harrison Farm. But I have a passion for goats. And so as my grandfather was raising a lot of sheep in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, there was not a good powdered replacement milk for the orphan lambs. And of course, we wanted to raise as many lambs as possible because that provided income for the farm. So my mother kept a small herd of dairy goats to be able to milk, so we would have products for the orphan lambs. My mother was a firm believer in child labor. As soon as I turned 7, she let me know that the morning milking was now my responsibility. And I detested it. I was a belligerent 7-year-old rebel. I think every morning was January because it was always dark. I had to get up before school, go out, milk the goats who would kick over the pail. And I learned quickly that I was not a dairy farmer. I have a lot of respect for dairy farmers because that is about the hardest thing you can do in agriculture. But from that, I knew I loved goats. So I referenced Ella Fitzgerald the goat. There are a couple pictures there of Ella Fitzgerald as well as her twin brother, Louis Armstrong. We have certain lines of goats that we give them names that associate with something, so they come from our musical line. We also have a line that has a color in their name, a line that has a number in their name, a line that is literary, a line that has nugget in their name somehow. And so Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald, siblings in the goat world, not in the real world. Ella is now also the mother of Diana Ross and Mick Jagger. Again, just in the goat world, not in the real world. But I love these animals. This is my heart. This is what I love doing. So at my farm, we focus on the 3 things that I'm really passionate about. I love a good party, I love animals, and I love working with young people. There is nothing that fulfills me more than watching a young person as they're gaining a new skill, maybe overcoming something that they were trepidatious or fearful, and as they start to master things and learn, I love watching them as they feel empowered, whether they want to go on to be a veterinarian, whether they want to be a farmer, whether they just have a passion for agriculture and they want to learn more. That is where I get my joy. And so my farm is very much focused on connecting people, to animals and farming. I want it to be a welcoming place. I want it to be an authentic place where you can learn about the realities of agriculture. Farming is not easy. I joke that it's the perfect job if you want long hours, difficult conditions, little pay, no vacation, no health care, and no retirement. You do it because it is a calling. You do it because that is where you are meant to be. And that is why I am at my farm. We talk a lot in agriculture about commodities. What is it you raise? Do you raise livestock? Do you raise row crops? Are you raising hogs? Are you raising cattle? What is it that you raise? We're about growing community. We're about making sure that people appreciate farms, especially within a metropolitan area, where young people can come and learn about farming, and where our guests can have honest experiences interfacing with farms and with animals. I find that if you put a baby goat in someone's arms, their barriers come down. And we have a lot of honest conversations. Someone in the Columbus area might not drive to Darke County and talk to someone who is raising 250 head of hogs in a confined building. But they will come to my farm, participate in a yoga class, and then have an opportunity to talk to a real farmer and say, okay, can you explain to me what's going on in Lake Erie with water quality when I hear about agriculture? Can you tell me why pigs are raised in stalls? What's the benefit there? And so it's something where my farm can be an ambassador for the realities of agriculture, because we can get people to come to goat yoga. And then as they start to become comfortable in a farm environment, we can have those honest conversations. The picture on the screen there, that is obviously me to the far side. In the middle is my amazing friend Dana, who is our yoga instructor. I met Dana because I had the privilege of coordinating her wedding. As I was working to earn income with the dream of someday owning that farm, I worked whatever job I could to be able to fulfill that goal. I spent several years in the event world, and I had the privilege of coordinating Dana's wedding. She was an amazing bride. At the time, she had bright pink hair and a bright pink wedding dress. We hit it off. She and her husband came to visit the farm afterwards. She loved the goats. At the time, Dana had just finished yoga teacher training. I had just bought the farm. She was trying to find a job as a yoga instructor, but every studio was looking for someone with experience. How do you get experience if no one will take a chance on you? I needed revenue to pay for a farm I had just purchased. So I threw out the idea to her, do you want to try some yoga classes on the farm? Our first few classes that season, they were lighthearted, mainly people who knew us, but we got great pictures because my animals are always running around. It is incredibly difficult to keep a goat anywhere. So we had great pictures of garden goat as a little baby laying on a yoga mat. Our friends had a great time. We had a business model. And then that winter was when the concept of goat yoga really broke in social media. We were in the right place at the right time. Dana and I have a very natural relationship because we already knew each other. We were already starting something, and then we were able to take that model we were starting and really capitalize on an opportunity to connect with more people in our community. I really love this picture because we're also joined by my young intern, Mackenzie. She resides in Dublin. Mackenzie is our pig farmer. She's in my 4-H club. Mackenzie has a passion for pigs. If you live in Dublin, it is very hard to go into your backyard and just start pig farming. But that is something I can do with my farm, where young people can utilize it as essentially an agricultural incubator. Mackenzie put together a business plan. She has now been raising pigs for a couple of years at the farm. That has positioned her that she is headed to Iowa State this fall with a focus on agriculture and especially working communications within the pork industry. The photo itself was taken at the Hilton in downtown Columbus. Goat yoga will go wherever you pay the goats to travel. We had an amazing class at the Hilton. Fortunately, one of my best friends works with the Hilton team, and she was able to convince them that yes, Catherine is respectful. If this group wants to hire her to bring goats to the Hilton, even with the beautiful art on the walls, we can figure out a way to make it happen. So as I share that, thank you for listening. I want to lift up the fact that for me, I know my farm would not exist without the community that supports me, and I always want to make sure that we are giving back to that community. I love the people who are a part of my farm, and I have no idea how I got so blessed that amazing people keep finding their way to my farm. I often remind my young people, this is a family farm. We just all have different last names. I did not have the blessing of marriage or children on my journey, so I really pour my maternal heart into the young people who are part of my farm. We did a count recently, and with my current intern team, over the last 15 years, I have now mentored 70 young people through our intern program. I am very blessed that now some of my early interns, I've actually had the pleasure of officiating their weddings. They are now having little people, and so even though I never got to have children, to this whole generation of young people, I am Mima. And so they come to the farm, they reconnect with the farm, and it is a huge blessing for me. Education is important across the board. For agriculture, it is even more important. Approximately 2% of the United States population is somehow engaged in the agricultural realm. And yet, we feed most of the world. In production ag, it is even a smaller population. Agriculture has the oldest professional cohort. The average age of a farmer is 58 years, and that is average. So if you think about the number of young people in their 20s who are farming, that's balanced out by the number of 92-year-olds who are still farming. Farmers just keep working. But with that reality of having the oldest professional cohort and also recognizing that as agriculture is changing and it is becoming much more STEM focused, we need more and more young people who are interested in engaging in that space. Farmers tend to be introverts who want to stay on their land and do their own thing. I get it. I would much rather stay home and snuggle my baby goats. But the reality is, if we are not ambassadors for why we love what we do, we will not get that next generation to join us. We cannot be gatekeepers who only use specific agricultural terminology and thereby exclude individuals who might have a passion but have no idea how to engage. I suspect that my farm has become more prominent in that space of teaching because we are visible on social media. If you grew up in Mercer County, you knew about 4-H, you knew about FFA. If you grew up in Upper Arlington, but you had a dream of raising sheep, how do you learn that skill? Because of our visibility on social media, a lot of people have found us, and I've been able to engage with so many remarkable young people who know nothing about agriculture, but they have this dream. My former intern, Max, was actually at the farm helping this morning so that we could make it here on time. Max grew up in the suburbs. He decided he was meant to be a shepherd. He had no farm experience. After completing his internship, he's now in his 3rd year of volunteering at my farm with a dream of putting together his own operation someday. But I share that with you because it's very important to me that my farm is a place where people feel welcome and where they can learn and actually develop their own skills to make their own lives better. My other rule on the farm is that everyone has to contribute. We're all working together as a farm community to keep the farm going. And so, part of the foundation that I teach my interns is having that respect for the circle of life. Every animal has to contribute at the farm. Every animal has to have a job. I work for them, they work for me, we're all in it together. All the creatures have different roles. I like to lift up the fact that we have to show that respect for who the animal is meant to be, and also show that respect for the circle of life. The goats have many different career opportunities. Some of our goats grow up to be yoga goats. A lot of our bottle babies, because they are more used to interacting with humans, they associate humans with food, comfort, praise, they are a natural fit for yoga. They're curious. They're going to come over while people are doing yoga. They're going to want attention. Because of that level of engagement, people who are attending yoga really enjoy it because they're getting to directly interact with the animals. And I'm just using the animals' nature to empower them to be the curious creatures they're meant to be. But we do not invite every animal to yoga. It specifically has to be one that is comfortable with humans. The rest of the herd is much more independent. A lot of our ladies will contribute by becoming mothers. They're going to raise more animals to sustain the farm. We have a few males that we keep as bellwethers. I love lifting up terminology that comes from agriculture. If you've ever heard of the phrase of Ohio as a bellwether state, that in politics, as Ohio goes, so goes the nation, the term bellwether comes from sheep and goat farming. Hundreds of years ago, if you were raising sheep in the Alps or the Pyrenees, you would have a friendly, neutered male, a wether, as we call it in the ag world, and you would put a bell on their neck. So you knew where the herd was because you listened for the bell on the bellwether. Then, when you needed the animals to come to you, you called the bellwether, he came running, And then because they're herd creatures, everyone else followed. So the term bellwether as a leading indicator in politics actually comes from the sheep and goat world. So we have a few boys that work as bellwethers. They do grazing. We have some that do off-site work. We refer to that as rent-a-goat. If they do not find another job, whether it's the ducks laying eggs, chickens laying eggs, the 4-H rabbits, then they contribute by becoming meat. It is very important to me that my interns learn my values, that we ensure that each animal has the best life to follow its true nature on our farm. It is shown respect throughout its journey, and then at the end of the life, we also want it to be given that respect. We are omnivores, but I believe that if we are going to consume meat, we need to do it in a respectful way that honors the circle of life. So I have a few pictures up here lifting up different perspectives on how the goats are a part of Harrison Farm. So on the far side, you can see me and my former intern Katrina as I was getting ready to do a class in breaking down a carcass. In the middle, you can see Evie the goat, who was one of our longtime yoga goats, enjoying nibbling on the bride's bouquet in that photo from a wedding at the farm. And then on the far side as well, you can see me lifting up a skull. I believe there's a lot of beauty to the inside as well as the outside of the animal. And so we market a lot of skulls and bone to collectors as well as artisans. Even though it seems odd to work in bone as an artistic medium, for people who do so, they put a real value on ethical sourcing. We participate in the Oddities and Curiosities shows. If you've ever heard of that, it is a traveling marketplace of the weird. We were at the Charlotte show in February. The Columbus show was in April. I'm headed to Pittsburgh in August, and then my final show for the year will be in Kansas City in November. It is a collection of individuals who are looking for unique things. It is also very much a social experience for those individuals. And so they come attired in full regalia, capes, headpieces. I've had some of the best conversations about my farm with gentlemen in heavy dark eyeliner and elaborate headpieces who really want to learn about my values as a farmer. And that resonates to me that we're all connected to the circle of life. Agriculture means something to all of us. It's just different how we access it. That has allowed me, by marketing skulls and bones, to meet a whole new community of people, to lift up the beauty of the animal, to honor the circle of life for the animal's contribution, but also to bring in a much needed revenue stream to my farm. These are a few pictures more associated with sheep in different ways, because this is how my farm connects with different opportunities. On the far side, you can see a lot of people holding pumpkins. That is actually from a workout class at the farm. I have a friend who is in that space of designing unique workouts. And so each fall, she typically hosts a class at the farm where she brings a pumpkin as your weight. And you're doing different opportunities to do weightlifting with the pumpkins. And then afterwards, they feed them to the sheep. Our sheep love pumpkins. We've also built a relationship with Strader's Garden Center where they bring us their pumpkins they do not sell. And then in the fall, after Halloween and Thanksgiving, a lot of people in our community bring their pumpkins out as well. If it's a beautiful pumpkin, the sheep love it. If it is a pumpkin that is painted or moldy, the chickens are happy to clean that up. So it's a sustainability measure in terms of these items are not going in a landfill, but also for our animals to be able to consume that is a help to me with the feed bill. And we connected with this whole other group of people in the workout community that otherwise might not have been at the farm. On this side toward me, you can see a painting of a lamb on a lamb hide. A few years ago, we collaborated with Wild Goose Creative Galleries. They found different artists who were interested in working with skulls, feathers, bones, or hides. Each of the artists came to the farm, met animals, learned the stories of the farm, chose something that they turned into an artistic piece that we then had at this show. I ended up bringing a few of the baby goats to the opening night, and they told me that it was the best opening night they ever had because people were intrigued. What in the world is this concept? But then they were promised baby goat snuggles. And boy, you can win people over every time with baby goat snuggles. In the middle is Minnie the sheep. This was in the last day of her life. I share this picture because, as I said, I truly believe in honoring the animal's contribution, however they contribute to the farm. Minnie was basically my comfort sheep. She absolutely was non-productive. She never had a baby that survived very long. She had arthritis. She lost most of her teeth. She had a cataract. She was a hot mess. But this sheep was just such a good spirit, and everyone loved Minnie. Was Minnie a financial loss for me? Yeah, probably, but it made me happy every time I saw Minnie in the barn. This photo was taken right at the end of Minnie's life as she was getting ready to pass onward, and a friend of mine took it. Minnie passed the next day. I shared that story on social media, and it was amazing to me how it resonated with people. Because I'm very transparent on my farm. Some animals are going to become meat. Some are going to be longtime residents. Some are going to do yoga. But these are the realities of farming and the realities of the circle of life. And I was amazed as I shared the story of why Minnie had meant something to me and the role she played on the farm and how we tried to give her respect at the end of life. It really resonated with people. And that was one of my social media posts that I was amazed the amount of engagement. I try to look at agriculture, especially my farm, with all of its challenges. How do I find a problem and turn it into a solution? So on this side, you can see Louis Armstrong, the goat, the infamous Louis Armstrong, dressed up in his Christmas ensemble. And this was a little promo we put together to encourage people to bring their Christmas trees to the farm. Again, we work with Strader's Garden Center as well as Bill's Greenhouse. If they do not sell Christmas trees, they bring them to us. So starting around December 20th, as they start to realize how many trees they'll need, we begin to get loads of Christmas trees dropped off at the farm. It keeps the trees out of the landfill. It helps the garden centers because now they can claim this as a donation versus a total loss. It is a huge help for us because it brings enrichment to the animals. They're doing something as they're cleaning up these trees. It gives them a little nutritional boost. During January, February, when pastures are fallow and there's nothing green, the goats love having something green at the farm. And then likewise, people in our community are now bringing trees. And so the more visible we get on social media, the more trees. 2 years ago, we had enough trees to feed through mid-March. Last year, we made it to beginning of April. This year, we finally got all the trees cleaned up by Memorial Day. It's not going to replace hay or grain, but it's going to lower that feed bill to be able to feed the animals. I had a problem. I need to feed my animals and they get bored in the winter. There's the problem of trees that go into landfills. How do you turn it into a solution? The little picture up top, you can see a tiny femur and a tiny vertebrae next to a quarter. Tiny bones are a big deal. I work with a lot of jewelry makers who love utilizing bone. And so again, I'm finding something that basically would have been a waste product. If an animal just passed away and I buried it and that was the end of it, essentially it's a revenue loss. Now I'm turning it around into a marketable item. We ship bones all across the country. It's not just the shows we attend, but then as I go to different cities and make connections, we continue shipping to artists across the country. And then finally, a picture down here that was just taken last weekend for what we jokingly refer to as a poop party. We have become the premier location for individuals from the immigrant and refugee community to source fertilizer. I have a lot of animals. 700 head of livestock makes a lot of manure. I have to deal with that. If you're from the immigrant refugee community, you are typically used to eating fruits and vegetables from your homeland that you know how to raise yourself. And so they want to be able to continue enjoying those items. So they want to put in big gardens to enjoy the produce they like. They need a fertilizer. If you go to a garden center, it is expensive to buy fertilizer. How do you find an inexpensive fertilizer? You call Harrison Farm. In 2021, a friend of mine who is of Nepali heritage asked if he could get some fertilizer for his wife's garden. And I said, absolutely. So then his brother asked if he could come. And then they started telling their friends and their neighbors. And each year it has grown exponentially to the point that this spring, my barn has been cleaned out. They're now working on the sheep lot because they have cleared out all the manure in the barn. But it was funny because the people who came early, they know the stuff in the barn is the really good stuff. And I had someone come out recently who said that no, his father told him he needed to get the inside poop. So we joke a lot. This picture is literally, I think there were like 11 vehicles on that one afternoon who were lined up there to load up manure from my farm to take home to their gardens. They're putting it in bags and then loading the bags up in trucks, SUVs, Priuses. We've seen everything. It's a great way for me to connect with new people because many of those individuals are now egg customers. So it's helping my farm in that way. But it's also helping by solving a problem I had because otherwise it is expensive and it is quite an endeavor to manage all of the manure. So with all that, what are my challenges as a farmer? This list. These are the things that keep me up at night. The tax bill is Damocles sword over my head every single day. In Ohio, we have a program that allows for agricultural valuation on land. That is a huge help. I am in Franklin County. It is an urban area. If I live 10 minutes south or 10 minutes east, my tax bill would be about 30% of what I pay in Franklin County. It is important to me to support my community. It is important to me that we have really good schools. But it has been 30 years since the Ohio Supreme Court ruled that it was illegal and unconstitutional to fund our schools based primarily on property taxes. And yet 30 years later, we are still doing it. I want our schools to work effectively. I want young people to be a part of my farm who are going to be amazing, brilliant superstars. But by the same token, my goats do not attend school. So it's very hard for me to understand why that tax burden is placed so heavily on agriculture as property owners. And then when we hear challenges about farms disappearing for solar operations or for warehouses, I understand. I am breaking myself every day to keep that farm going. If a warehouse came and offered me $50,000 an acre for that land, it would be very hard to turn it down. I am taking 3 days off next week. I am so excited. My last days off, I took 2 days off in February of 2023. I have an amazing intern team this year, so they're gonna step up and let me take 3 whole days off and visit my mentor in Texas. I'm not sharing that with you to belabor it, but to lift up, these are my realities. If I want that farm to keep going, I work every day because I've got to pay that tax bill. Urban sprawl. Predators. We have 2 new Pyrenees pups that are amazing. They are 7 months old. They are 70 pounds. They are learning to guard the herd and they are doing a phenomenal job. Last fall, the coyote pack we currently have is more aggressive. Twice in the middle of the day, the pack attacked and killed while I was at home. It was in the afternoon. This coyote pack came right up and killed sheep. I'm in Franklin County. That's how aggressive the coyotes are. So that's why we got the Pyrenees pups, because we have to have protection for our animals. The state of Ohio has a fund that reimburses farmers if their sheep or goats are killed by coyotes. You have to have the dog warden out to certify it was not a dog kill, it was a coyote kill. The problem is the state of Ohio legislature has declined to fund that account for about the last 20 years. So the account exists, it's just at zero. Activists. Something that is always interesting to me is people, as they learn my experiences and I share with them how much I am targeted by activists, they're always amazed. They say to me, but you're a single woman who's trying to restore her family farm. You literally name every animal and you're being targeted by animal activists? And I am, because individuals in that sector are not interested in having the conversation of how do we make the food system better? They are simply interested in targeting those who are in any way connected to animal agriculture. I am proud of what I do. I know as long as I am visible in my community and visible on social media, it is going to be a reality I face. But I will acknowledge that at the end of a long day, when I've had challenges, when I've set aside my own well-being to try to keep the farm going and to look after the animals in my care, and then I get an angry Facebook message telling me what a terrible human I am and how I should go to hell because I work in animal agriculture. Yeah, it can be discouraging. I try to let it slide off my back, but this is another one of those challenges I face. And of course, it's me at the end of the day. I have a great team. They're a huge blessing, but it is a lot to do this every day. It's my calling. I'm meant to be there, but you literally can work yourself to death. So how am I navigating those challenges? I am leaning into what makes this farm unique. I am so grateful for my community. I am so grateful for the interesting opportunities we have. I'm trying to find more young people who want to learn about farming and be a part of my farm. I'm trying to find more unique opportunities for goat yoga. This is Knuff the lamb and Maleficent the goat at Brewdog. We are getting ready to do a couple of yoga classes at Brewdog this fall, and so they needed to do a photo shoot. My grandfather would get such a kick out of me telling him that part of my work as a shepherd is to position the lamb closer to the cans of beer. You have to evolve, you have to find those opportunities, and I'm trying to be visible and open to ideas. If you need a goat for a rap video, who do you call? Harrison Farm. The picture at the lower corner there is literally Mr. Beignet the goat on the day that he was in a rap video with local rapper Pistol Pete. You take advantage of the opportunities that open up. Thank you so sincerely for letting me share all of those goat stories. It means a great deal to me that Lisa was so willing to invite me. Thank you. Before I ask if there are any questions, I will just lift up a couple of items that I would ask if you'd like to learn more about the farm. So if you're on Facebook or Instagram, the farm is under Harrison Farm 13. So 13th generation of my family. I was born on the 13th. It's my lucky number. Harrison Farm 13 on Facebook and Instagram. If you'd like to connect with me, harrisonfarm13@gmail. Our farm is open to visitors May through September, Sunday afternoons. We do our open farm hours 1 to 4 on Sundays. And then I'm trying to build up more with my writing and my podcasting. So I would love for you to engage on that. If you like stories about agriculture, may I ask that you find us on Substack. Substack is a platform where creatives can disseminate their work. So if you go to fearlessfemalefarmer.substack.com, enter your email address, and then you will get directly emailed to you my writings about the farm, as well as the Fearless Female Farmer podcast. It'll come straight to your email. Thank you for listening.
Wondering how big your rabbit operation is and what breeds.
The answer to that is too big, is how big the rabbit operation is. Right now, I think we're at about 60.
57.
Just 57. I apologize. I exaggerated. So-
By the time we get home, there will be.
Rabbits can breed within an hour of giving birth. So that phrase of populating like rabbits is literally true. So my young intern Katrina, she actually started the rabbit operation a few years ago. She had dropped out of college, did not know what she wanted to do, interned at the farm, discovered she had this passion for agriculture. She then ended up going back to Ohio State, then in education, and she just graduated as an agricultural education instructor. So I'm very proud of her. I'm also proud of her discernment that as she got busier with student teaching, she knew she could not continue a rabbit operation. So she gifted it to my former intern, Elsa. Elsa has now really taken off in the rabbit world. She's selling 4-H rabbits. She processes and sells meat rabbits. She has been teaching other young people through the 4-H program about raising rabbits. Breeds, I know she has a Flemish sire. She has some Champagnes. She has some New Zealanders. She has some Californians. Elsa is also blessed with the same condition I have of falling in love with misfit animals. And so her 2 Californians have 3 legs. And so I always joke with her about how many legs do you think the babies will have? They always have 4 legs. It just happens that those 2 with 3 legs had difficulties. But yeah, I think those are the main breeds.
You said where the farm was like this.
Thank you for asking and letting me share that again. The farm is located in Groveport, Ohio, is our mailing address. We are literally as southeast as you get in Franklin County, and we're in this little triangle where we're closer to Lithopolis. Our school district is Canal Winchester, and our mailing address is Groveport. Yes, ma'am.
You said you work with jewelry makers. Can you tell us about your necklace? Does it have a story?
Thank you for asking. The question was about the jewelry. When I was young, Quarter Horse Congress always fell during the month of October, which is my birthday month. And so as a young teenager, it became a tradition that each time we would visit for my birthday, my mother would let me pick out a piece of turquoise. She was a brilliant woman. She flew planes, she threw pots, she made baskets, she did elaborate wedding cakes that she never charged people. She would just give it to you as your wedding gift. Gorgeous 3-4 layer cakes. She was a superstar. She passed very unexpectedly due to cancer when I was much younger, and I treasure my memories of her. This actually was her necklace, and I will often wear it when I'm looking for a little comfort from her, because she was quite a strong woman. In the 1960s, when she went to high school and college, she loved the farm. She could literally fly a plane. She soloed the family plane on her 16th birthday and had her pilot's license before her driver's license. But in 1967, she was told, you can be a nurse, you can be a teacher, or you can be a secretary. There was no opportunity for her to be a pilot. There was no pathway for her to take over the farm. So thank you for letting me share a little bit of her story, because for me, she's so much that touch point of why I want the young people in my world to pursue whatever their dream is, no matter what their gender is. I'm very thankful that my grandfather believed I could do whatever I put my mind to doing. He believed you learn skills, and whether that skill was oiling the zerks on the hay baler, or whether that skill was learning to cook, those were valuable skills, not gender appropriate. My grandmother was very much more the traditionalist. She thought if I loved farming, I needed to find a nice farmer to marry. And she was so happy in her marriage. So I looked that up, and she loved her husband, and they were a great partnership. And that is why I fight to keep that farm going, because I saw what they did for it. But I want to make sure all the young people in my world, no matter what, know that if they're willing to work and they're willing to sacrifice, they can build their dreams too.
Where can we find your products?
Thank you for asking. So we market a lot of farm fresh eggs, chicken and duck eggs directly from the farm. During our open farm hours on Sunday afternoons, 1 to 4, we have our farm stand open. You can pick up our farm fresh chicken eggs, our farm fresh duck eggs. We have our naturally raised meats, including amazing lamb chops. We have lamb sausage. The bratwursts are amazing. We sell a lot of goat meat as well. Goat is a very lean red meat. For people who have cholesterol issues and they cannot eat beef, they can often eat goat, because goat is such a lean meat that it has less fat than chicken with the skin off, but it is a red meat. So you can replace brown goat for ground beef in most recipes, and it's very healthy. So if you're interested in picking up products, we do market them directly from the farm, Sunday afternoons, or really at any time. I have a lot of people who will just send me a text message and say, can I get 2 dozen eggs on Tuesday? We'll have them in the cooler on the front porch, so you do not even have to deal with the crazy farmer. You can just show up at the appointed time, get your eggs, pay by Venmo, Zelle, or leave cash, and enjoy them. Thank you for asking.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Catherine. I learned a lot. Okay, so, real quickly, I want to let you know that we have a new calendar that's been rolled out. I'm gonna leave the back of the room a hard copy of these, so pay attention, because we're no longer meeting every week here at lunch. For example, in July, we don't have a date on the 3rd because it's the day before July 4th. The 10th, we will have a lunch here. On the 17th, it's a project week. We're gonna figure out what project we're gonna do that week. The following week, on the 24th, we're gonna have a lunch here, and then we're gonna do a Roth at the end of the month. So it's gonna flow with, I believe, Jim, if I'm correct, it's 2 lunches a month instead of 4.
That's correct.
So I'll leave these in the back and grab one, make sure you put it on your calendar. And I will stop now because Bonnie has a raffle. The daily raffle is $22.
The last 4 numbers are 7036.
7036.
Oh.
That's what I talked to you earlier, we missed it.
$22, sir.
Thank you. Oops. Throw it back in there.
How much is in the big pot, Bonnie?
Connie, I got it.
How much?
$516.
Wow.
Real money we got.
For the hearts. Jim Miller isn't here today, that's good.
The last 4 numbers are 7057.
Wow. Good luck.
It's 2 weeks in a row.
Are you kidding?
Wow.
Then people are gonna be talking like,
Maybe my luck is
like
changing.
Jim Miller.
Am I going that way?
No, don't go there.
I'm going that way.
So for our visitors, if I pull the ace of spades, I win the $500, so you understand. And if not, the pot will continue to grow.
It will continue.
Okay, I just want to thank everybody. It's been a fantastic year, and if you volunteered as a greeter, a cashier, a raffle person, or a sergeant, or anybody that stood at the podium this year to support the club, I appreciate you and thank you. And before we leave, the four-way test of the things we think and say and do every day. First, second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
third,
Will build goodwill and better friendships?
and fourth.
Will be beneficial to all concerned.
We are adjourned.
Don't spend your money. Well, let's see, $22, what is that big for? Not even the food and meal.
This is very, very true.
You're welcome. Yeah. So, yeah. That's what
Yeah.
You're gonna let.
Do you like it?
And there's like 30.
Yeah, so fantastic.
Hopefully, a project, reading our ideas and branch out. Oh, I around. We're trying to land right now. So I'll show you one example. Where obviously we're working. Some of them will sound like. Keep going. At his place, probably, and he's away, isn't he, right now?
No way. You're a lot younger than 86. Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
So, let's see, Darnell, what happens after all of it?
I have your, I have your book.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I started out with 2 rabbits, ended up with 150, and I was slaughtering a dozen a week and selling them that was when I was 12 years old. Yep. Highland View Rabbitry. Well, you have one buck, no, you have one buck. I had 2 breeds. The offspring end up being rabbit meat. So, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I was trying to make a little bit of it. And after a while, you know, they said, no, that's not the way to do it. It's like torture.
Steve probably did, but we've got, oh. That. Fascinating.
Yeah, she's a wonderful speaker.
Yes.
Just absolutely wonderful. So do I cut this off in some kind of way?
Oh, yeah. And then we get to, shut that down. Shut that down.